stuff out of the way. I think we're gonna start with the boxes today. So we're gonna do some collage boxes, which are really fun to make. And I just make these with regular recycle boxes that come in the mail. Okay, so these are just things that we get. I do try to, if I can, get all the plastic. I don't worry so much about the paper that's on the box as much as like anything that's shiny or things like that I try to take off. And this, like, I don't like the plastic tape and stuff. That kind of interferes with the paint and the collage that we add. So these boxes are really nice, and you can paint and you can collage with either paper or fabrics. If you have fabric scraps, those work really great. And we did a lot of collaging in the live stream last week, and sadly, for whatever reason, the live stream recorded last weekend with no sound, so I couldn't repost it. I had one of my subscribers notified me last week that it went up and she was trying to watch it, and she couldn't watch it because there was no sound on it. So that was really sad because it had a lot of really fun projects on it. And I apologize for that. I did try to see if I could get the sound back. I looked up a whole bunch of ways, but I couldn't get it to come back. So if I can't get all these labels off, I try my best, right, to get the shipping labels and things off. If I can't get them all the way off, I don't panic. I mean, I try. If I can, I do. If I can't, I don't drive myself crazy. But I'm not a type A. I'm kind of a type B minus. I don't really stress out. So here's one I've made, and I want to just show it to you. And I think I have pencils in this one. So this one, I didn't do a lot on the inside of it, but I did line the sides with some really pretty scrapbooking paper. Sometimes I decorate the whole inside. I line it with fabric or scrapbooking paper. This one is just a plain box with a top, but then I added some little embellishments with cardboard on the corners to make it look more like a wooden box. And then I think it had a base coat of color, and then I put the gold over the top. It looks very vintagey, and it's really fun to have these little boxes. If you're giving a gift, and then you can give it away, and then it could be repurposed, right? So I'm just using this one in my studio, and I keep, pencils, or if I'm going to go to my other studio, I just pop whatever in here, and I can take it with me. These also look really nice on a dresser, like with a piece of, you could put jewelry in here, or you could put it on a desk with, just to organize a few little items, paper clips, or whatever you have. You can use these for so many things, and they're just super cute, right? So this is one I did with flowers and, a vintagey kind of a floral pattern. And I'm going to show you ways to source some of those materials. So I'm going to get started on these boxes. So I like these boxes that have all these flaps because they just kind of keep themselves shut. And I don't really need to have it be so, you could do all the flaps like this, but I don't really need this to be so, I don't really need these side flaps on this one. So I think what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to cut these side flaps off. Sometimes what I like to do with these kind of boxes is add a little, you can buy these little spots of Velcro in the sewing department, and you could put a spot here and a spot here, and that would just hold this flap down. I might have some in my sewing box. Or you could just take this flap off altogether, because this will just stay shut. And sometimes I'll do something like that. Actually, I might do that one on this box, because these flaps hold this box shut. And actually, if I do that, then I'll have this cardboard to do some embellishments. So I'm just going to make that decision on this particular box. I'm going to just take this one off. It's not hard. And then I can just show you what I do when I do that. This will stay shut no matter what. Now, this is still going to want to stay shut because it has these nice big flaps. It's a super cute box. And once we put collage and paper on it, it will still stay shut. It's really cute. It's a cute box. Okay, so then I'm going to do this one. Now, this one is the same type of box. And this one, I think what I want to do is I'm going to take the sides off. Like this. But on this one, I'm not going to leave this big giant flap. But what I think I might want to do is do like a little curve in the front. Just give it a little more personality. Okay. So now the front will have a shape like this. I'm pulling a piece of tape off of it. And it's just paper tape. I mean, I didn't really have to take this off, but I'm going to because it's easy to grab. And so once we put the paint on, yeah, this is a big thick piece of tape and it's easy to grab, so I'm just gonna pull it right off. Okay. And these labels, I don't know what they make them out of, but they are so sticky. They're really hard to get off. Once you start peeling them, I think because they really don't want to lose them, when they're shipping your package, they're real sticky. Very, very sticky. All right, so I'm gonna, if I can get part of it off or all of it off, I'm gonna be happy. Oh, this one wants to come off. All right, I'm gonna pull this guy right off. It's being cooperative, so I'm gonna rip it off if I can get it. Wow, sometimes they won't come off. Like the other one did not want to come off at all. All right, I got lucky with this guy. All right, so, all right. Now, I paint these with regular acrylic paint, which is great because it dries so fast. Let's just, all right, now these guys are the ones I'm gonna use. All right. That's that guy. Now, this is extra scrap cardboard we may use, just as a little embellishment. Because sometimes I like to make these little false corners. And maybe we'll do that. It makes it look more like a real, like kind of a antique-y wooden box. So maybe I'll make some of those. And I just make them with the, with cardboard. I just cut a little cardboard corner out. And so I cut the first one, and then I just need a little similar corner, and I cut a similar shape for each corner. Okay, so we're gonna cut 4 of these shapes. And I'm not even tracing them. I'm just kind of cutting them. And I don't need a real pattern for any of this. I love using recycled materials because it's a way to use up stuff that would just go in the landfill, or we would just toss it away. You know, we're just kind of reusing this stuff. Now, you could use any kind of glue to glue this stuff together, but normally this kind of a project, I'm going to use like a kind of a white glue for this. All right. Okay. It doesn't matter that this one is white because we're going to paint all this. So let's see. I'm trying to find my little thing of glue here. All right, let's get my PVA glue. So this is PVA glue. And somehow my cap is missing, so it keeps drying up on me. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to squish some out on here onto a piece of paper. I'm going to squish myself out a big bloob. Now PVA glue is just fancy artist's white glue. It's the same thing. It's just acid free and archival. So it's just made for artists, so it's not going to ruin your artwork, and it's, you know, just made for longevity. Okay. So now I have some crummy crafting brushes up here, and I'm trying to find them. Here's one. No, that's not one. I think this might be one. Yep, this is one. Okay, so now I'm just going to grab some of that, and I'm going to put a little bit on the backs of these and glue them down. Now this is great glue. It does dry pretty quick. I'm just going to squish them into the corners. This makes once it's all painted and everything, it looks way more like a wooden vintage kind of box. Okay. I love making these. These are like one of my favorite things to make. And I'll put a gift in these, and so this is just the first step. Now, I don't always add the embellishments, but I want to show you how to do it just in case you felt like doing that. And the 3-dimensional thing on the top really kind of adds a little extra holiday sparkle. People do really like these. I use mine all the time. I make them for myself. I've made this project with kids. Kids love making them. You can do all kinds of things with these. They're really fun to do. And adults like making them, which is why we're doing them. Okay, so now, anytime you're using glue or acrylic paint, make sure that you wash your brush off really well. All right, so you can use any kind of paint for these projects. I'm going to get these out of the way. You can use craft paint. You can use regular acrylic paint. You could use any type of acrylic paint that you have. So I am going to go into my acrylic and grab, I think I have some. Yeah, I have some acrylic paint that I want to use up because it's getting older. And I want to make sure that I use it up before it's really too far gone. Okay, so I'm going to get some of that out in holiday kind of colors, and we can get started with that. And let's see. Just grab a sheet of paper out of a book here. Sometimes when I'm using up my collage books, I grab just a piece of shiny paper instead of palette paper, because it's a really it's a fun and easy way to use to get free palette paper. So I'm just going to put a good coat of paint on this cardboard, and I just glued this, but I'm not worried about it. I'm just going to paint right over it because I'm not really moving it, and it, you know, acrylic dries super quick. The glue could take its time. I'm not gonna really move it. I'm not putting any pressure on it. And I'm just gonna pretend that it's already dry. And I've done this at workshops and it's absolutely fine. You know, believe me. Because sometimes we just don't have time for everything to dry. Like glue. I mean, really, you need overnight, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just pushing everything down, and like if you were doing this at home, you could glue those pieces in place and leave them overnight. Okay. Now, when I'm doing these kind of projects and I want everything to dry pretty quickly, I just brush everything out, because acrylic paint dries so fast, especially the first layer, because it's going into the paper and it really just gets sucked in. As long as you brush it out and don't leave blobs. And that's the thing that I always tell the kids when I'm working with the kids, because they like to leave a big blobby mess. Really brush it out. Really brush it out and spread it all around nicely. Don't leave it any blobs, and it'll dry almost immediately. Like the first parts I already painted, they're almost dry, or they're dry to the touch. And then I'm just going to go over this whole box with the red paint really quickly. I want to get a good layer on the top. I don't know. I'm not going to do 2 layers of this red paint because I'm going to paint over it. You'll see. You'll see what I'm going to do. But yeah, this is going to have 2 layers of paint, but the second layer is not going to be red. If you wanted to paint it all one color, you'd need probably 2 coats of the same color. But I'm not going to do that. If you see things like coming through, or there's writing on the box, or you have a label you really have to cover up, then you're going to need more than 1 coat. Like back here, but I'm going to cover, like if there's writing or something, I'm going to cover that with collage. So don't even think about that kind of thing too. Okay. You could also do this palette paper trick with like an old magazine or something. So if you have anything with shiny paper, can act as a palette paper, and you just use the printed pages. Okay. All right. I like to get a good coat of paint on all of the sides. Okay. So that's why I'm doing this. And really brush it, because that makes everything dry super fast. And paper and cardboard are so absorbent that pretty much if you brush it out like this, it's going to be almost instantly dry. I'm using really good paint. If you just have craft paint, you're going to need more layers. And this paint is old, so I'm trying to use it up. It's golden, and so golden is a very high quality paint, and so it's just going to cover really nicely. That's kind of one of the differences between using good paint and less expensive paint. But don't feel like you need to buy expensive paint to do this. You could absolutely do craft paint with this stuff. This first layer is just to get a good coat of paint and color onto your box. This is definitely a family-friendly project. So kids, tweens, teens, everyone can do this. Super fun. So if you're doing some low-cost, like crafted gifts and things, these are like the perfect way to make them really special, because you're going to be putting them in. I just dumped my whole sweater into the glue. It's so typical of me. This is the kind of stuff I always do. It's one of my Tatty studio sweaters, so I'm not really worried about it. So if you're doing like thrifted gifts and upcycled gifts and handmade things, this is perfect, because then you can make it really special by creating these really beautiful boxes to go with them. And these can be repurposed too. I love this idea. So if you're watching this, you want to grab a box and some paint, and just do this alongside. That's great. All right, so now this is kind of already almost dry to the touch. So what I'm gonna do here is really spread this out nicely. I don't really want any cardboard showing, especially on this outside. Okay. All right. I'm gonna lay it down. I'm really gonna go quickly on the inside. I don't really need this to be super covered on the inside. I just want to get a little coat of paint in here, because we are going to use some papers in here. This can be done with scrapbooking paper, any kind of printed papers, if you have collage papers saved. So I'm going to try to do the edges. I'm just going to do the flaps, really, and then I'm going to try to just I'm going to do the bottom. And then we're going to cut some collage and while this is drying. And it doesn't matter if it's not 100% dry. Here, let me grab some more of this paint. I only put out a little at a time with acrylic. And if you're wondering why I don't just squish out a whole bunch at once, because it dries so fast that sometimes it's a waste to put it all out at once, because it sometimes will dry before you finish kneading it. So I just put it out as I go. Now I'm just going around the edges, and then I'm going to collage in the centers of this. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm just making like a little frame around the edges here on the inside. I did it on the bottom, I'm doing it on the sides, and it'll come out really cute when I add some papers. I'll check out my collage box to see if I have anything that works in here, and if I don't, I will look into some scrapbooking papers or see if I have anything like that, which I might have some that will go with our project. We'll just see. We'll see what pops up. Okay. Okay. So they don't take a long time to paint, right? So now I have this done, and that's my layers. These layers are, I mean, I'm touching them and I'm really not getting covered with paint. I'm gonna put this guy aside. I'm gonna put my glue on there so I don't stick my arm in it again. I'm just gonna put my brush straight into water, because whenever you're working with acrylic or glue or anything like that, you are in danger of, ruining your brush. All right, so now let me just show you. I have some collage that we can use, and I recently got some collage from a friend who dropped off a big bunch of, there's an elderly neighbor of mine that leaves me piles of magazines, and she must donate everywhere because she's like the sweetest thing, and she gave me a whole pile of calendars, and she gave me this really beautiful calendar with all these really beautiful floral images and things in them. And so this will give this box a really gorgeous, like vintagey look. So I'm kind of going through, and I thought I would use one of these really vintagey kind of calendar pages to cut some floral images out. This one is really beautiful. It has lots and lots of different flowers in it, and it's a very kind of a vintage vibe. So I thought I would take some of the pictures from this to cut for this particular box. So first I'm going to just cut out like a basic image for the front of this box. And maybe I'm going to look at this first and see how it fits. If it's too big, I'm going to cut it down. Yeah. Although I think this could work really well this way. And so this is the type of thing you sometimes have to do. You have to sometimes go in and just kind of trim things to fit. I like things to have a lot of interesting shapes. So I will sometimes go in and really cut around and find, you know, interesting negative shapes and things. So, okay. Now I think it'd be more interesting without this guy. And I just keep playing with it until I find the shape I want, right? All right. There's always going to be lots of things we could do to make it more interesting. Okay, so I really like the way that looks. Okay, so I think that's beautiful. And then we have a lot of these really nice flowers that match. Okay, so I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna take some of these for the sides of the box, and we'll have matching images for like the front, the sides. We just have to find some that will work, right? But there's so many. That's why I chose this one, because this one had so many different ones that I thought, oh, you know, there's going to be a lot of different ones we can cut out that are going to really go, because it's in the same painter's hand and all that kind of thing. All right, so now we're going to just get some of these out. Yeah, and you want to just, you know, cut around and make them attractive, and then see which ones will go. And that just takes a minute of your time. Okay, so we're getting these. This is on the front cover of this too. So I could actually, although it's like a harder, it's a harder, heavier paper, so it would be harder to cut those out, I think. All right. Okay. Very pretty. All right, so now I have, I think I need just a little bit. These two red ones will give me just enough. Pretty. All right, let's see. All right, now I have all my collage cut out, and I am just going to, let me see what's going on my stream here. Let's see, open the panel. I want to say hi to everybody. And see who's hanging out today. I'm trying to get into chat, and it's, well, for whatever reason, I'm unable to, but I see that there's people and I want to say hi. I don't know what's going on. All right, let's see. Okay, so I'm not able to get on chat. I'm trying to, guys, but hi, I appreciate that you're here, and I'll try to pop in later. Okay, I apologize for not being able to get in there. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start attaching the collage. I've got, you can use either matte medium to attach your collage, or you can use gloss medium. Now, I generally use matte medium, and you could use either. Now, if you like the shiny surface, you can use gloss. However, if you're going to use it, you need to go back at the end and use it all over the entire piece, because acrylic paint is pretty flat or matte. So when we attach the collage, we put it underneath and on top of the collage itself. So you will just have a glossy collage, right? So you need to go back at the very end and add it all over the entire piece when we're finished to get the gloss effect over the whole thing. So that's up to you. So I'm using matte right now. And so, let me see if I got it. I'm going to use a different brush. So hold on one second. I'm trying to find the one I had the other day. Let's see. Okay. I'm going to just clean up this one that I had. Okay. This is a good brush for that. Okay. Here we are. Okay, so I'm if you're using the same brush, just make sure you have no paint left on it. I'm cleaning this up pretty good in my water. I just don't want to spread red paint all over everything. Okay, so now I've got my matte medium, and I'm going to go underneath. Now this is pretty dry, so I can go right in here now with this nice matte medium. I'm going underneath my image, and I'm going to go back on top of the image, okay? You have to go underneath and on top with collage, okay? And now I'm pushing it down. I'm getting all the air bubbles out of it. I'm using my brush to do that. Okay, let me see. I have my... I like to use a little scraper for that because it does help push out the air bubbles. You could use an old credit card or one of those fake ones they send you in the mail. There you go. Okay, so now I sometimes will put down a scrap for that stuff. Okay. Now I want to add, now this flap is going to permanently tuck down inside there. So I want to add, I'm going to add flowers to the front of this. So again, we're going to put it underneath, and then we're going to put it on top. And then we're going to go over it with our, you could use anything like this. I mean, you don't have to have this. Now they sell these everywhere. You could even buy that at the hardware store. You don't even have to go to an art store for those. Now I like to put them on all the panels. Now I'm going to pull this out until it's 100% dry. And I'm going to go all the way around the edges of this box with this. Now, I'm going to put a little bit more matte medium out. Just a little bit. You don't need a ton of it. You just want a little bit. I'm going to put the flowers. If it doesn't seem like you have enough, you don't have to have too much because you don't want to saturate it. It doesn't have to be saturated. Okay. And then we're going to get to the magic when I'm done with this one, because I want to show you what I do when I've got the collage down. You really want to take your time though, like deciding, I mean, even though this is just a box, I still am thinking about like how I lay the flowers down and what it looks like, and you know, like a little bit of a, you know, you're thinking about a composition and how you want it laid out. You want it to look nice. All right, so I like things in an odd number just because I think it looks prettier. So that's why I cut an extra flower out for this. So I have to see. Let's see. Let's get some matte medium down here. And then maybe I'll put this guy up here. Okay. And then these guys like this. There. Okay. So that looks nice. Now I'm brushing it out. So matte medium is not glue, but we can use it for collage. It is exactly the same property as your acrylic paint. So, you know, if your paint's a little wet, it doesn't matter. It's made of the same exact stuff. So, it's the exact same as the paint, except it doesn't have pigment. So it's made to work with your acrylic paint, and you can use it to enhance flow, to make a glaze. You can use it for attaching collage. It's just a wonderful medium to be used with acrylic paint, and there's so many uses for it. So now what I've done here is that I've added a little bit of gold paint as an embellishment on my paper, which I'm going to be using on this box. Now, actually, before I do that, I think I want to add. This is pretty dry, and I'm going to give the matte medium just a minute to dry. We can go into this, even if the matte medium is still a little wet, you can paint right into it because it's designed to be used with acrylic paint. But what I'd like to do is actually lay in the collage on the inside of the box, and then we'll decorate with the acrylic gold, because that will really enhance this box and make it look fabulous. So I have my collage box out, and I'm just gonna go through and I'm gonna look. I'm gonna go through and look to see if I have any painted papers or something I can look that will look good in this box. And I always have lots of different kinds of things that I have saved from other projects that I can go through and pop in. So I'm gonna just see really quickly if I have something that would work for this. This might be pretty. That's a piece of scrapbooking paper. But sometimes I have hand printed papers that I made. So I'm gonna see if I have any. Sometimes I have jelly prints and things like that. So I'm gonna go look to see. Now this is a jelly print with lots of gold on it, which might, that could be pretty. So I'm gonna put that out and see if I have anything else. You could also use things like music notes, vintage papers, things like that can be really, really pretty. I have a bunch of really pretty jelly prints in here. That's really beautiful. I could cut pieces of this for this particular one. I'm not sure if that could actually look really nice. I mean, if you don't have papers like this, you could just use scrapbooking paper. I mean, use what you have. And it looks really, really pretty when you embellish these boxes. I'm trying to see. I have some really nice pieces that I could use for this box. I have this particular one would look really nice on the bottom, I think, of this box. Because I am planning to use some gold, so I think this would be really nice. And I don't care if they don't all match. I want them to, I want it to be sometimes I like to fuss over them a little bit so that they come out really special. So I think that is what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to take this one and really kind of work with it. Here, let me grab another one of my messy craft brushes. And now I'm putting more of that PVA glue. It could be Elmer's. You could just use, if that's what you have, if you have white glue at home, it could be Mod Podge. Mod Podge is simply plain old white glue. So you could just use what you have. Please don't feel like you have to go out and buy special glues or anything like that. This is just, I have it in my studio, so I'm using it. But use what you have. This is a jelly print with green and gold paint that I made. And this one above that I'm going to be putting up here has like a more aqua green or blue green on top. There's so much glue in here, but it doesn't want to come out. It's fussing at me. It has a big hole in it, but yet does not want to fish out for me nicely. All right, there we go. I'm convinced glue and paint bottles only work the day that you buy them. And then after that, nothing wants to come out of them again. That's just the rule. It's like an art rule. Okay. Okay, I do the same thing with the glue that I do with collage or the matte medium. I don't put the glue on top, but I do go over it sometimes. If I can get the squeegee over it, I will do it because you have to push it down and make sure it adheres and sticks and that you get all those air bubbles out. Really important. It really does help it stick down and adhere to the bottom layer. Now, this red paint is pretty dry at this point, and it wasn't that long ago that we put it on. So, now, in this case, I'm kind of just putting it onto the piece because I want a good amount of glue. And then I'm going to brush it out and stick it. This kind of glue is important when you're using something heavier. Now, these jelly prints were done on very heavy watercolor paper, and that's why I've switched back over to the PVA glue. If this was done on like a copy paper or something like that, I wouldn't be using this glue. I would just be using that medium, right? But since I used a heavy paper, that's why I had to switch back to the heavier glue. Now this glue will hold this in place. It's not going to move anywhere. So that's why I had to do that. Okay. Really important. This is probably 140-pound watercolor paper. So it's the heavier watercolor paper. It's not, if it was 90-pound, I might be able to get away with the matte medium, but, or copy weight paper. But you really need to go to the heavier glue if you're gonna do heavy heavyweight paper. I've even put scrapbooking paper down with matte medium, and that works fine. I put a little too much glue, if you're wondering what I'm doing there. Oh, I'm not going to waste it. I'm putting it over here so I can use it again. Okay, so now I'm going to put this one on this side. I'll just get it in place here. Ugh. Okay. Okay. So that's starting to come really cute. And I think I didn't know I had so many festive colors until I really started to do this. Okay. So I'm going to do the sides in the green because I alternated these pieces. So I want it, you know, it's okay that we alternated them, but we want them to kind of look like it was intentional that we did that. Okay. Okay. I use the squeegee just to push it down and make sure it's really stuck. Okay. I got a little piece of glue there. Okay. You just want to make sure you have enough glue. And I'm just covering up the centers because I didn't paint all the way on these panels. I just painted the edges because I knew I was going to add some collage. Okay. All right, now I'm going to get this baby right in the water here. Now I'm going to take a brush that I wiped off really well, make sure there's no paint on it. I don't want any drips and I don't want to dilute my paint, so I really make sure that I wipe it off good. Okay. Now, I have a little bit of the gold acrylic here. I'm going to add just a little bit of matte medium to it to increase its flow. And then I'm going to paint over the red with this gold. And the red is going to peek through just a little bit. And it's going to be, this is going to be a very festive box because you'll be able to see the red through the gold. Now this is just a gold craft paint. You can buy, it's very inexpensive, but it is a really beautiful gold. And I use this gold craft paint a lot. Now my favorite gold is the golden gold, and you don't need it in this situation. It's more expensive, and don't waste your money on it, because this is just the, what is this? Crown Jewel. You can get this at Michael's. You can get it at most, I think, well, I don't think we have Joann's anymore, but Joann's used to carry it. All the craft stores have this kind of paint. Very inexpensive. And I go right around with it. Now I add a little bit of the matte medium to it just because it increases the flow. And then you can see right through, and the red peeks through a little bit. It gives it a very antique-y kind of look. I just really like the way it looks. And I'm gonna do the panels even though these are gonna tuck inside. Okay. And I'm kind of doing them in a painterly kind of way, right? I'm not looking for those super even brush strokes, you know. I kind of want it to look maybe like it wore off a little bit over the years. So I'm kind of, the matte medium also thins this out a little bit so we can read through or see through to the red a little bit, okay? And I am spreading it around, and I don't care if I cover up just, or, you know, if it gets onto the collage a little bit. It kind of adds to the charm of it. Just have fun with this part of it. It's really, and you don't have to add this if you don't like the gold, but there are other metallics you could use if you decide you do like the metallics. You could buy yourself, you know, they have copper, they have silver, they have, they actually have the colors. So they have metallic red, metallic green, metallic blue. So you might want to try those if you like metallic, but you don't particularly like the gold one. These are very fun. I love these. I love making them. Okay, now you can decide whether you want to like write a little note, your name here, holiday, and 2025, whatever you want to write on the bottom, you can, or you can just embellish the bottom as well. It's up to you. The inside can be done the same way. I mean, you can paint this with more of the gold inside as well. You can go around the edges with this, on the lid. You know, that can look really pretty, actually. You know, just kind of go in and just, you know, embellish. Now, my papers had gold on them, so that's why I'm kind of doing this, because my papers already had the same gold on them, so it kind of looks interesting to add a little bit more. I'm actually going into the paper a little bit. But my paper was already kind of decorated with gold, so it's just another way to, and I'm doing kind of more of a painterly application on the inside. And you just kind of want to, you know, make sure you hit all the sides the same way. So this one, I kind of, I don't know, I'm not sure if you could see how I did it. I didn't do like, I did it more like a painterly application of gold. Just kind of swirled it around so it looks more decorative. And I painted more evenly on the outside. But it kind of incorporated into the way those papers were painted. So you can see these can be different every time you do them. You don't have to do flowers. It could be really any subject. It could be holiday themed. You can, if you had holiday calendars or you know, just junk mail for the holidays, you could cut all the images out and do them that way. I also had been given some more religious themed calendars from the same lovely woman, which I thought these would make fabulous. I thought these would make fabulous boxes with the stained glass windows and, you know, these religious images. I think these would be beautiful on a box. You know, maybe paint a dark color and then add the gold and these beautiful religious images. I think those would be fabulous. So you can really do these any way you'd like, with whatever imagery you'd like to use. And I make these all year round, but as gift boxes, but I just wanted to share them because they're just so much fun to make. So the next thing I'm going to show you is how to do a chine colle card, which is just a collage card using the gelli plate. So let me just get some of this stuff out of the way. Now these are really easy to do. We just need collage and acrylic paint, and they roll up really quickly. And let me get, we just have to cut out some collage images, and then we're gonna roll them up on the gelli, and you'll be surprised at how fast they go. They go so quick, and they're so cute. They're so unbelievably cute. Let me just see if I can get this chat box open and see if I can say hi to anybody here. Let me see. I'm just gonna say hi. And say hi. Nope, it says I can't connect. I don't know why. It won't let me say hello. Let's see. Maybe. I'm gonna say join the chat, it says, but it won't let me do it. Nope. Let's see. All right, so I'm not going to fight with the chat today. I'm going to keep going. So I'm just going to grab some collage and we're going to make a card. We're going to make a card on the gelli. Let me see. Here's one. I like doing these on the gelli print, on the gelli printer. Of course, my gelli printer's not. I have a lot of these, so if this one's not cooperating, I'll get a different one. Okay, let me just grab this guy. Sometimes the covers don't want to come off if they've been on for a long time. Okay, all my gelli printers look like this because they're they all look like this because they get used so much, and they're all worn out because I print so much. I love to print on the gelli plate. I've been doing gelli plate, believe it or not, before gelli. Way before gelli. I started doing gelatin printing in the 70s when I was a little kid. And so every year at my art center, I used to make these. I used to make gelli plates. the homemade kind. And then people at my art center would say, what is that thing in the refrigerator? It's disgusting. What is it? Nobody knew what it was. All right, so then, let's see. I've got to get a bird. I always like a bird for whatever reason on everything. I'm just really a bird person. So, oh, I like this bird. I'm going to pull this guy out. I'm of the school of thought that everything needs a bird on it. And so I'm going to take this bird out of this magazine. And so chine colle is a type of printing that uses thin layers of collage and paint. And so this is jelly plate chine colle. And I'm going to show you how to do it. It's really fun. Not a lot of people know how to do this kind of collage on the gel plate. So I want to show you because it is really fun. Let's see. I'm going to need my little bird. And then I know I have an X-Acto knife. And over here on the side, this is a cutting mat. So I'm just going to cut really quickly with an X-Acto knife because this bird has a cutout I need to do. Here, I just pop this out. Here, now this is my, all right, I'm gonna start setting up a composition on this. And then I'm going into this magazine, which is a Birds and Blooms. But this particular magazine has a lot of hummingbirds and things in it. So I don't really want hummingbirds, but sometimes this magazine has plants. And I want some leaves and things. I want greenery, but maybe I won't find it in there. Maybe I will find some in this magazine. I always kind of know what I'm looking for, but I don't know where I'll find it in my huge stash of collage that I have. A cardinal would be nice, but I don't know if I'll find one. Oh, there's one, but he's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a perched cardinal, not really one flying. But so you could get collage anywhere. I have tons of magazines and these bird books and stuff. I'm really lucky because people do give these to me. And I don't know. What's this? Oh, this is another bird book. Oh. All right. So I want something, I seem to have all the hummingbird issues out, which is not really what I want. I just want some leaves now. All right. Oh. Well, I might steal this guy's leaves. I'm going to steal his leaves away. Poor hummingbird. I'm going to steal his leaves. Okay. It's all right. He doesn't mind. He won't mind if I steal his leaves. He'll never know that it happened. So I love doing this kind of jelly print. They're really fun to do. So it's a really interesting way to do collage on the jelly plate. I'm going to quickly cut out this collage. All right, so here's some leaves that I wanted to include. Everything wants to stick to the jelly plate. And then I'm going to get rid of the part that was a bird. Okay. I like a lot of negative space. So I'm setting up a composition, okay? So I'm kind of trying to plan a really beautiful composition. Here's my bird. I have, let me see, one more leaf might be really nice. And I have one right here that I'm going to use. Okay, now. Okay, so once I have it all set up the way I want to set it up, I'm going to, you have to flip it over so it's backwards, okay? So this is how I have to do it. I want it to look like that. I'm going to take my bird off. You have to be really careful though, because once it starts to stick down, it's hard to get back off. I tried to lay it gently down. Okay, so this is the direction I want everything to be, right? So now, this is really important. When you're setting up your composition, you have to lay everything down the way you want it to look, but it has to go down right side down. Okay, so here's my little bird, and then, hold on, this little birdie has to go here. Okay. You think about your composition, how you had it set up. This is his plant life, goes behind him like that. And then we had this leaf. This leaf went, no, yep. Okay. This guy is not straight, so you have to just very carefully arrange everything the way you had it. Okay, this is a piece of paper we don't want. We don't want that. This guy's still not straight, so I gotta pick him, keep picking him up. Okay. All right. Okay. And then I want everything to lay down flat. Okay. Here it is. Now you don't want to overlap things because the paint is what makes this stick. Now remember when I said that matte medium and the paint are the same thing. So just like I was saying when I said that, in this case, we're not using matte medium to make the collage stick. We're making, the paint is going to act the same way the matte medium acted, okay? So now I'm going to put this down and we're going to get paper ready. So I'm going to be using regular watercolor paper to make this card. And I'm going to get that out right now. But I may end up cutting this down a little bit. Let's see. Well, no, I guess I could just make a regular. This one, I think I'm going to just do the regular size of the... This is a pretty big plate. So I'm going to make this the big size. Now these are nice because we're making an actual piece of artwork that's like a painted piece, painted in collage. Now you can give this as a gift if you'd like. And then, you know, when you open it up, you can write a little note here, sign it, then sign this, and just say an original art piece for whoever. And then when they're done with the card, they could cut this. And this is an original art piece. So when you're centering it on here to print, because this is a little smaller than, you know, the half a card here, it'll be framed a little bit in the white. So you can use any color. I do have red out, so I might just roll the red. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna get out a piece of, let's see here. This is my rolling paper. Because what I do when I roll for jelly is I just put a little bit on the plate and then I roll my roller off on that. Okay, so we got to get this all set up nicely. Now, when you're doing jelly printing, less paint is more, okay? So I don't put a lot. I put a very small amount. And when I do this kind of jelly printing, I put even less because you don't want it to go everywhere. Couple drops is all you need. Then you need a roll off paper. So that's what this paper is. Okay, so now everything's laying face down on my gel paper. I don't want too much on there. If I feel like I have too much paint, I'm gonna roll off. Now we're getting ready to do our print. I'm going to roll over the entire surface. It looks like I have a good amount of paint on my plate. I want to roll off, make sure I have it evenly covered. But you don't want too much paint. It's very important. Less is always more when you're printing jelly. Now, I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to get it centered on here, on my card. Okay. No, I did go off center a little bit on this. Sorry about that. Okay, now, what I like to do, and what I didn't do this time, was I normally have a clean brayer handy. But hold on one second. I'm just gonna roll it off on here. Okay. And then I go like this. Okay. All right. So then when you start to lift up, oh wait, I do this too. On this side, I like to do the same thing because this is really important when we're doing the chine colle because you got to roll it on both sides with a clean brayer because otherwise the collage doesn't want to stay. There we go. Okay. See, there he is. There he goes. Okay. 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 I just go really carefully when I'm pulling it off so that I don't. Okay. So I don't pull the collage up. There we go. Now this one, I guess I took too much paint off. All right. I think we're gonna do another one because I'm not real happy with this one. I think I took too much paint off of this one. Normally I don't. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slap some matte medium on this guy. Now, if I'm not happy, I'm not gonna worry about this. What I'm gonna do is, watch what I do, because I am not gonna be unhappy when I'm done. If you have a catastrophe, all is not lost, folks. Normally, and I've done this a million times, this does not happen. But if you have this happen, just stick everything back down with your matte medium, like I'm doing. Oh. Okay. All right. Stick it all back down. And then we're going to fix it. And then I'm going to tell you about a little thing called do it like you meant it. There's no such thing as a mistake in art. If you make a mistake, you're going to pretend like you meant to do it this way. All right, so there's so many things I love about this. Like, I like a lot of these little printy things. I love what they call that in, what they call these etchy little places in a print is, they call it noise. And I really love the way that looks. So I'm not going to take all of it out, but I'm going to paint in some of those areas so it looks more cohesive, okay? And now I'm going to do that so that it looks more the way it should have looked when I pulled the print the first time. I'm always so worried about not having too much paint that this time I pulled too much off. That's okay. So now I'm going to go back in and I'm going to do something similar to what I did on the boxes, which is I'm going to take a little bit of watered down gold and I'm just going to get in here and I am going to ho holiday this right up. Okay, I'm just going to go into some of these areas with this watered down gold and I'm going to paint around and make this just look very festive. I love the way the leaves look and the red. And now, I love that now. Okay, so now I'm gonna brush off my, okay, now anything that's not gonna stick down, I'm gonna go back over with my matte medium and I'm gonna stick it right down. And now look at this card. This is a good card now. Okay, so now I really like it. So rather than panicking and thinking, oh no, I ruined it, you really have to not freak out when something goes awry when you're making art. Okay, so just don't freak out if something goes wrong. Just stick it back down, go back over it a little bit with paint. There's some areas that I could still touch up. But you know what? I kind of like what I like about jelly, what I like about printmaking is that it's very raw and fresh, and it has a very hand painted quality to it. So I might try to pull another one, just so that you could see how it's supposed to happen. Um, and then I can also show you how to clean this up, because I never worry about cleaning my jelly when I'm doing this. I just grab, I use a baby wipe for everything, and so I just pull the paint off with the jelly with a baby wipe, and I usually clean my brayers the same way. I just just take off the excess paint with the baby wipe. It just takes everything off really quickly. And so they're easy to clean that way. Once you go over them a little bit, it takes all the paint right off. And this is pretty much how I keep everything, how I keep them clean, and it's very gentle on them. Like, I don't like scrubbing them and using anything abrasive on them. So you have to be a little careful with the surfaces, otherwise you could really ruin them. So these are like powerful enough to get the paint off without being too harsh, and they don't ruin the surface of the plate. And I have these in all kinds of sizes and different shapes and all kinds of jelly. I did a lot of jelly for a lot of years. Because I started so long ago. I know how to do a whole bunch of different weird processes on it. And all right, so let's get some of this off, and then we'll just pull another one really quickly. This one I'm gonna try not to ruin. Now, if it has just a little bit of paint left on it, don't stress out, because what that will do is it will come through in the next print and it can look really cool. And sometimes there's just a little bit of staining left on your brayer. Don't worry about that as much as like if you have big blobs of paint. Okay? All right. I kind of really like this one though. Okay. All right, let's get another. Let's try something altogether different. Let's go into one of those other calendars that I had and do, let's see, where's that other one I had? With the stained glass. That's what I'm looking for. I'm trying to find that other really cool calendar. There it is. Nope, that's not it. That's not it. Is this it? Yes. This is it. All right, let's try to find one of these. One of these stained glasses. Okay, I'm just going to do a really small, quick print of, so you can see how this is supposed to happen, and then we're just going to end, okay? So here I'm going to just take this little image and maybe do it on a small, this is really pretty. this one. This one is pretty. All right. So now, let me see. Okay, so this is really beautiful. All right, we're gonna do this. We're gonna put this picture on. We're gonna put it upside down like that. Let's see. And then I'm just gonna print this one on a piece of paper, I think. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. And then I think I will print this one. Let's see. With a yellow background. No, not yellow. Let me see. What other color could I use? No, maybe I'll do red, and then we'll just see. Here. All right. I'm gonna get another bit of a roll-off paper here. Okay, now I'm gonna put this on a regular, piece of paper this time. Once you roll it down, you can, I'm gonna get the paint off my brayer so I can. To make sure that my brayer doesn't have any. All right, now you can see how this is gonna come off, or should come off, hopefully. All right. Now this is how it's supposed to work. There we are. Okay, so this is how it's supposed to work theoretically when it's working the right way. And so here we have our collage attached, and it's came off really nicely, but I'm still going to embellish this a little bit, and I really love the way the gold looked on the other one, so I'm going to put some gold on this guy and really have it just, you know, get that really kind of festive looking gold here. I really like the way it looks. Now, if you feel like you want to add a little bit more medium, if you feel like it's coming up in any places at all, just add a little bit of extra, but the paint acts like a medium in this case. And so it holds everything down. Okay, and that's the chine colle on the jelly plate. And that's how it normally would work when you're not messing around and not using enough paint. Okay, there we go. Okay, So I'm going to sign off here, folks. It's just about 2:30, and I will see you all again next week for another live stream. Bye, everybody. Thanks for being here. Please come again soon. Hi, everybody. Bye, everyone. Hi, Headspine. Hi. Hi. Hi, everybody. I'm so sorry I couldn't get the chat to work today. I just don't know what. Hi, Limate. Hi, Limate. I'm so sorry. I couldn't get the chat to work today. I kept trying to go over, but it wouldn't load. I don't know what happened. All right. So I'll see everyone next week at 1. I try to come every week. I'm trying to put one in during the week too. I don't know if everybody would enjoy that, but I'm trying to add another one during the week. I know a lot of people can't come during the week, but I'm going to try to do another one during the week. That one would probably be more painting and stuff. Okay, I'll see everyone next time. Thank you.